Oh my goodness, the Mariners have done it again. They win again. I did not think this was going to happen. I thought the Mariners were done. I thought the season was over. But look at us now. We are still going strong. And we're going to watch some highlights from the game as I discuss. This was a game that the Mariners needed to win very badly. It was a must-win game. That's pretty much what every game is at this point for us. It's a must-win game. We're in the Blue City Connect uniforms. We're going out there. We've got Bryan Woo on the bump. And like I talked about in the pregame show, Bryan Woo is a guy who really has not been good against the Rangers. He's been good against pretty much every other team except not Texas. He had a 21 ERA against the Texas Rangers. And going into this game, I thought there was a chance we were probably going to lose. I predicted we would win 4-3 because I wanted to be optimistic, but I was worried. I was very worried. Bryan Woo has struggled against the Rangers, and he comes out today, and he did struggle. He struggled again. He gave up six base runners in the first 3 innings, including the 3rd inning where I was literally like about to throw up. I was so nervous because he loaded the bases and ended up having to he got a really clutch strikeout of Adolis Garcia, and then he ends up hitting Nathaniel Lau, which was definitely a mistake. On a 3-2 count, he hits Nathaniel Lau, but then he gets Josh Young to fly out to Jared Kelenic, inning over, and the 4th inning, finally the Mariners bats wake up, and they woke up big time. Ty France, who I said in my pregame show would be good, Ty France, who has a 500 career batting average against Nathan Eovaldi. Ty France crushes a home run. It was a no-doubter. And then, later on that inning, Josh Rojas does the same exact thing. So now it's 2-0. Then Suarez knocks in a run as well. J.P. Crawford walks. Then it's 3-0. But the big inning was in the 5th. Mariners in the 5th load the bases. Jared Kelenic can't do anything. So of course, Jared Kelenic, the guy who everyone's telling me that he shouldn't be benched, but I think he should be benched. I think Jared Kelenic has lost his any form of being good. Jared Kelenic has lost. So I have no problem with him being benched. But we bring in, or we don't bring in, but then Josh Rojas, he gets a single, scores a run. Now it's 4-0, and then the big hit that we're about to see. So there's the Suarez. We're seeing Suarez's RBI right there as Crawford crosses the plate. Let's wait till we get to see the big hit though, because I'm really looking forward to getting to watch this. 3-0. Here's this is Cal in the 3rd. He ends up going down. But yeah, Seattle. It was a gritty performance by Bryan Woo. It was not pretty. It most certainly was not pretty. There were times when I was very, very worried. There were times when I was about to throw something, but Bryan Woo, somehow he gritted it out. Somehow he found a way to get the job done. He got the crucial outs that he did need and ends up getting the victory. Actually, he doesn't get the victory because he didn't play every game, I don't think. Or excuse me, he didn't last enough in the game. You have to go 5 innings. He went 4 innings and a 3rd, I think. So Bryan Woo doesn't get the win, but he did what he needed to do. He faced a team that the past 2 times he's played them, he allowed 6 runs, and this time he allowed 0 runs. So that's huge improvement, huge progress. It's exactly what we needed him to do. And to his credit, he did it. He got the job done. So we're seeing Bryan Woo right now. 4th inning, he gets 1 more out, and then they brought in Taylor Saucedo, who came in and got the last out against Evan Carter. So here we come into the 4th inning. The 4th inning was the big inning for the Mariners. This is when everything came together. So starts off, got Eovaldi facing Teoscar, and Teoscar gets that base hit right off the bat, starts the inning off strong. Again, Teoscar was a guy who I said in my pregame show, I said I think Teoscar is going to be important in this game. I think he's going to play a big factor because Teoscar and Ty France were the 2 guys who have really, really good numbers against Nathan Eovaldi in their careers. So then comes Mike Ford, and Mike Ford does what Mike Ford does best. He draws a 4-pitch walk. Now there's 2 on, nobody out. Then Ty France comes up. He's already got a home run today. What does he decide to do? And Ty, again, he had a good game. Got to give him some credit. A guy who has been struggling lately, admittedly. He hasn't been great. But he had a good game tonight. I said he would. I looked at the numbers. Ty crushes Nathan Eovaldi. He's played him a lot, and he does really well against him. So that's what I'm saying. Ride the hot hand. Look at the player splits. That's how you're going to figure out your lineup. Ty, a lot of people in the pregame were saying, Kelenic should be hitting ahead of Ty. Kelenic should be hitting higher. Kelenic has 1 career hit against Nathan Eovaldi. Ty has 7. So, sometimes stuff like that you just have to consider. So then Ty, he comes up here, and again, Eovaldi at this point is starting to really struggle. He's starting to really lose it by the 4th inning. Well, he walks Ty as well. So we got the bases loaded and no outs. Up to the plate comes Jarred Kelenic. And Jarred, not really the guy you want in this scenario, to be honest, because he hasn't hit a home run since June 9th. And Jarred comes in, and he looks at a pitch there, gets the 1-2 count, looks at another pitch up high. They're hoping the Mariners are gonna hit a grand slam on the broadcast, but I kind of knew Jarred wasn't gonna be the guy who's gonna get it. And I didn't think he was going to come through. And, of course, he did not come through. We're about to see him get out. There it is. He strikes out. He's pressing. And he knows he's pressing. I'm sure he went through a temper tantrum after that because Jarred Kelenic has the worst attitude out of any player that I've ever watched play the game of baseball. And then Josh Rojas. Rojas, who already has a home run on the day. And Rojas is like, you know what? I think I can do some more damage. I think I could do even more damage here and help the team out with the bases loaded. So what does he do? He singles up the middle. Now it's 4-0. So the Mariners are thinking, okay, we're in a pretty good spot here. Rangers go to their bullpen. Burke comes in, and the Rangers bullpen sucks. So, again, prime opportunity here. 1 out, bases loaded. You're thinking, as long as JP doesn't hit into a double play, you're chilling, right? And JP, he doesn't want to hit into a double play. He wants to do this, right? Oh, well, he wants to look at another pitch. But JP knows exactly what he wants to do in this scenario. He crushes this ball into the right field corner, and it is a grand slam. JP Crawford, 8-0. And from there, it was on cruise control. Mariners bullpen doesn't allow a single run. Topa, Brash, and Munoz, none of them ended up having to pitch, which is huge for us, right? Absolutely huge that none of them ended up having to pitch. Mariners didn't get a whole lot of hits after that, but it doesn't matter because we come away with the victory. So at this point, where does it leave Seattle? Of course, we couldn't have done it in Texas. We couldn't have done it against Houston. We had to wait until now. So again, we're gonna circle back to watch more highlights here, same ones. Where does this put Seattle? It puts Seattle in a precarious spot. I'm actually gonna get rid of these highlights. It puts Seattle in a precarious spot because we have 2 games left. Houston again, 2 games left. There's 9 ways the season can go down. 9 ways the season could finish between these last 2 days. I'm gonna walk you through it. This is the best scenario. Scenario 1 is we win out and Houston splits with the Diamondbacks. Because in that scenario, you'd end up with a 3-way tie between us, the Rangers, and the Astros. And in that scenario, the Mariners win the division in a 3-way tie. Because then it would go to total division record, and we would have a better total division record than the Astros and Rangers in that scenario. I think we might already. If we don't, then those last 2 wins against Texas would put us over the top. So that's the dream scenario, right? Because if you win the division, you're the number 2 seed. And if you get the number 2 seed, then you get a bye, right? Which we haven't had a bye in the playoffs ever. I don't think. Yeah, because when we won 116 games, that was before there were byes. So yeah, Mariners have never had a bye in the playoffs. Wouldn't that be nice, man? And then you'd end up playing the winner of, I believe you'd end up playing the winner of Minnesota against the 6th seed, which in that scenario would be Texas. So you would root for Minnesota, obviously, and hope it's not Texas. It might be Houston. I'm not sure who gets the wild card in that scenario, but whoever gets the 3rd wild card would play Minnesota, and then we would host the winner of that series. So that's the dream scenario, and we want that to happen. And I'll tell you this: it still could very possibly happen, right? Because we've got Castillo going tomorrow, and the Rangers are going to throw Andrew Heaney, it sounds like, but it's going to be more of a bullpen day. Rangers bullpen sucks, right? And then on Sunday, we're throwing Kirby against TBA. So we might be seeing a lot of the Rangers bullpen these next 2 days versus our 2 aces. And the Rangers bullpen is one of the worst in the league. So there's a very real chance we could win these next 2 games at home with momentum on our side. I don't want to be overconfident, but it looks, just from matchup wise, it looks possible. Now, could the Rangers go out there and just completely shell Castillo and Kirby? Yeah, that's very possible. They have a great offense. But I think Kirby and Castillo are going to bring their A game. I really do. I think they're going to bring their A game. And for the Astros, again, what's the scenario where they win 1 of 2? I mean, they're playing the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have to win 1 game to clinch a playoff berth. So the Diamondbacks, and they're in Arizona. The Diamondbacks aren't going to go down easy. There's a very real possibility that Arizona could win a game. Now, tomorrow the Astros are throwing Justin Verlander. That's going to be a tough one. It's too bad that the Diamondbacks didn't win today, because they threw Zach Gallen today. That should have been the win. Unfortunately, they didn't get the win, so now they're going to have to either beat Verlander, or I believe it'll have to be Framber on Sunday. So that could be tough. But again, it's possible. At this point, anything's possible. The Diamondbacks are not going to go down easy. We know that. So, from the perspective of how likely is that, I would say it maybe not is the most likely scenario, but there's a real chance that could happen. What's the next scenario? Next scenario would be scenario 2. And scenario 2 is Mariners win out and the Astros lose out. So in this scenario, the Rangers would win the division. We would tie them, but they would win because they have the tiebreaker. And then Houston would miss the playoffs. We'd have the 3rd wild card, and in that case, we would play Minnesota. We'd have to go to Minnesota, which is a winnable series. And then we'd have to go to Texas, and we would almost certainly lose that one. So, do with that what you will. But that's a scenario 2. Scenario 3 is the Mariners win 1 and Houston loses out. And again, so really we either need Houston to lose. We need Houston to lose a game. Either way. So if Mariners win 1, Houston loses out, then we would tie Houston. Texas wins the division outright. Mariners have the tiebreaker over Houston, so we get, in that case, the number 3 wild card again, and we'd play Minnesota. Now there is a 4th chance the Mariners could make the playoffs. That chance has to do with the Toronto Blue Jays. If they lose twice, which is not very likely at this point, they play the Rays. The Rays have already clinched. But if the Blue Jays lose twice, then the Mariners win twice, then we would guarantee to make the playoffs, no matter what the Astros do. And then we could potentially be wild card number 2. Although, personally, I don't think wild card number 2 is what we want. Because then we'd have to go to Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay has beat us 5 times this year. So, if I was the Mariners, I would be hoping that that doesn't happen in a weird kind of way. Plus, if you do get past the Rays, the winner of Wild Card 1 versus Wild Card 2 then has to go to Baltimore. So, I would much rather get Wild Card 3. Then you have to play the Twins and the Rangers instead of having to play Rays and Orioles. I would feel much more confident against the Twins and Rangers than I would against the Rays and Orioles. That's just me, though. So there's 4 chances. There's also, unfortunately, 6 scenarios where the Mariners miss the playoffs. So there's still, the odds still are not in our favor. We still don't control our own destiny because we still need Houston to lose. So the best, worst case scenario, Mariners win out, Astros also win out, and assuming the Blue Jays win a game, we would then tie Texas for the 3rd wild card. Houston would surpass the Rangers and win the division. They're only 1 game behind them now. And in that scenario, Texas has the wild card. They would make the 3rd wild card. We would be eliminated. So we could win out and still miss the playoffs, which is really tough. That would be a really hard pill to swallow, but if it does happen, we only have ourselves to blame for losing to the Astros, right? I mean, that's just how it's going to have to be. If we split the series and Houston wins out, again, you miss the playoffs. Houston wins the division. They would tie Texas. They win the tiebreaker. Again, Texas gets the wild card. Mariners miss the playoffs. If the Mariners split with Texas and Houston splits, then Texas would win the division. Houston gets the wild card. Mariners miss. And then if the Mariners don't win a single game, then there's no way we can make the playoffs. So between just the AL West, there's a 1 in 9 chance, just from an odds standpoint, not from a how likely we are to win, but from an odds standpoint of here's the scenarios that can happen. There's 9 possibilities. Only one of the 9 ends in us winning the division, and then 2 of the 9 end in us getting the 3rd wild card, and then 6 out of the 9 end in us missing the playoffs. And then for the Rangers, they're the opposite. They have 1 out of 9 to miss the playoffs, 2 out of 9 to get the wild card, and 6 out of 9 to win the division. Which means the Astros have 2 out of 9 for the division, 5 out of 9 for the wild card, and then 2 out of 9 to miss the playoffs. And like I said, the Blue Jays are the X factor. They could lose out, and then that could potentially be our saving grace if the Astros win out. But the chances that the Blue Jays lose out, I don't think they will. I think the Blue Jays are going to make the playoffs. So really it comes down to, can we win out, and can the Diamondbacks win a game? So looking at those matchups, because at this point, matchups are very, very important. The Diamondbacks are starting Merrill Kelly, who is good, against Justin Verlander, who's also good. Kelly, 3.38 ERA, 12-7. Verlander, 3.32 ERA, 12-8. But there's the recency stats tell a bigger picture. So I don't want to make it sound like this is going to be an easy game, because if you look at Verlander has been really, really good in his last 7. 3.2 in his last 7. 3.15 in his last 30. So Verlander's been on a roll. He had a rough start to the season with the Mets. He's been on a roll. Merrill Kelly, his last 7 games, he has a 4.14 ERA. Last 15, 3.7. So Merrill Kelly, he started off the season strong. he's been going through a bit of a rough stretch lately. So their ERAs on the whole season are very similar, but the numbers tell a different story. Looking at short term versus long term, Verlander has been better recently. So that's going to be a tough matchup for the Diamondbacks to win. But then on Sunday, both teams are TBD, which again kind of makes sense because if Houston wins tomorrow and the Mariners lose, then they're probably gonna if Houston wins tomorrow and the Mariners lose, Houston might consider not throwing a starter and just taking a bullpen day. Although in that scenario they'd still be alive for the division, so maybe not. But it wouldn't really matter because it wouldn't matter to us. And if the Diamondbacks win tomorrow, they would almost certainly rest a starter, right? Because then they would clinch the number 2 wild card with a win tomorrow, and then they would almost certainly do a bullpen day for Game 162 to give their guys rest for the postseason. Which is, again, that's the perfect scenario for us. Because it's weird how it works, but if we want to win the division, we need the Astros to split, and we need us to win out. So, how does that happen? That happens by Castillo throws a great game tomorrow, and we beat up on the Rangers bullpen. And then it happens by the next day, Kirby throws a great game, and again, we beat up on the Rangers bullpen, and we ride the momentum, we ride the wave of momentum into the playoffs. And then the Astros, how it happens is they lose tomorrow, and then on Sunday, the Diamondbacks, who would have already clinched, would then rest some starters and maybe not throw one of their better pitchers because they're going to be wanting to save their guys. And then the Astros would then win on Sunday. But in that scenario, I'm pretty sure it ends up being Texas that would miss out on the playoffs. We would win the division, and Houston would get the wild card if there's a 3-way tie, and Texas would miss it. That's the only scenario where Texas misses the playoffs. So Houston would definitely still have something to fight for on Game 162 if they lose tomorrow, but the Diamondbacks wouldn't have something to fight for. So that's the best case scenario, right? We're hoping that Diamondbacks win this thing tomorrow, and we would also win, and then we win on Sunday, and so does Houston. And now we win the division. Now we're the number 2 seed. Now we've got a bye followed by a home field advantage. So it's weird. Like we have to root for the Diamondbacks tomorrow, and then we have to root for the Astros on Sunday. Or if the Astros win tomorrow, then we have to root for the Diamondbacks on Sunday. And again, that would be a huge game because in that scenario, on Sunday, the Astros, if the Astros win tomorrow, they clinch a playoff spot. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if the Astros win tomorrow, they clinch a playoff spot. So honestly, it works both ways. Because if the Astros win tomorrow and we win tomorrow, now they've clinched a playoff spot. It just depends on, are they going to win the division or are they going to get a wild card? So they could also rest starters. And Arizona would still be fighting for a wild card spot because then they would need to win Game 162 to make it in. So either way, it works out pretty well for us as far as the Houston and Arizona matchup. Both teams basically need one more win to make the playoffs. So hopefully they both get that one more win, and then we get our 2 more wins. It's definitely possible. I hate that I'm like getting my hopes up about this because I'm sure I'm gonna get my heart broken by this team. But right now, just looking at it, like logically, it seems like it's possible. It seems like there's a chance. So until we're out of it, we're gonna keep rooting for this team. And so tomorrow's meaningful. If we win tomorrow, it'll be a meaningful Game 162 no matter what. If we lose tomorrow, the only way that Game 162 is meaningful is if Houston also loses. But I mean, you have to just hope and pray for a victory. But I'm more confident now that we can win these next 2 games, because now I've seen us that we can, now we've proven that we can beat the Rangers. And now we have our 2 best pitchers going. So it's definitely possible. Paul in the chat says, Arizona's our big shot. And again, 33% chance. That's what we have. We have a 33% chance, essentially, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe, because if you factor in the scenario about Toronto losing out, I would say we have about a 36% chance at the playoffs. When we were going into September, we had like an 80% chance. So it just goes to show how baseball works. But the fact that we do have a chance with 2 games left in the season is huge. The fact that if we win tomorrow, we are going to play for the 3rd season in a row. We'll be playing in a meaningful game 162. That's great. I guess last year it wasn't meaningful because by last year this time by last year at this point we had already clinched our seed as well. We'd already clinched the 5 seed. So last year this weekend didn't matter to us. We were just playing to play. We were playing to prepare for the playoffs. This season it matters 100%. And we're all along for the ride, baby. So yes, Paul, I agree. We'd really love to see that 3-way tie for the AL West division. And it's still possible. So keep hoping, keep believing in this team. I thought we were out of it. I thought we were done. But we continue to play baseball in a way that shows we're trying to win. We're trying to fight our way back. At least some players are trying to fight their way back. And that's really good to see. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. This has been a great night to be a Mariners fan, but it can still get better. Go Seattle. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. And let's go. This is the end. W Sportscast. Go Ends.